Good morning, I'm Flaster McSandwich. Everyone's running a fever today. It's that time of year when somebody rides the train and brings germs to the office. So, yes, let's get down to business. First off, talking about this ridiculous phone. Double screen phone called the Axon M. The Axon M? Oh, do you get it? I don't either. So this company, ZTE, has made an Android phone that's like, it's about as thick as an iPhone 3GS. So that's 12.1 millimeters thick. So that's 40% thicker than a lot of the current phones on the market right now, but it's got two 1080p screens. I want to know what you guys would do out there with two screens on your phone. Is this a cool thing? I almost wanted the bottom one to be like a full-on keyboard. That would be cool. But I don't personally understand the use of this. You can maybe span some apps all the way across to make a 1920 by 2160 environment, but there's that huge line down the middle. Like, it's going to be way more noticeable than your bezels on your monitors because you're right there and it's a tiny little device. Other than that, this is going to drain your battery really fast, and Android is not really designed for multiple screens, so it's interesting that they've made something this out there, especially since they're like a budget phone manufacturer. But I want to know, I'm curious from the audience, because I can't think of anything, and I've seen a lot of devices. What would you use two screens for?
Emulate 3DS games.
Emulating 3DS games? There we go. Anybody else?
That's all I got.
Just Android 3D. I can answer phone. I could send text message and emulate 3DS games. All right, so Alphabet, the parent company of Google, has talked to the people of Toronto and the government of Toronto more specifically, and they have talked them into building basically a future city right there. What they're going to do is they're going to take 12 blocks over there by the waterfront, and they're going to turn that into just a digital city. Sidewalk Labs is the company. So let's throw forth the vision of what this is going to be like. And let's also remember one thing. So a company comes in, they're like, hey, listen, we're going to make everything green. We're going to make everything connected. We're going to make everyone's lives better. We're going to make everything easy. We have to remember that this is a company. They're not altruistic in the least. They have the bottom line in their little brain. That's what they're thinking about. The way that they make a lot of their money these days is by watching you. I always feel like somebody's watching me, and I have no privacy. Whoa, whoa, whoa. All right, guys, let's get down to the real deal here. You know, Google doesn't really cooperate with the big governments that much. You know, they do here and there, but the governments have to run around getting subpoenas and bothering Google. Google doesn't just hand them anything. And that's kind of the way that I would expect it to be. It's almost as if when the government works with Google, they're working with another government. So here, let's look at the big picture here. If they can surveil you and this is all going to be put forth as like, look how easy your life is now. You have gigabit everywhere. You can breathe the beautiful gigabit air. You have extremely fast access on your phone. There are sensors everywhere. We can control everything in this environment. When you go to the store, it's going to be just like that new Amazon experience where you can walk in, take things off the shelf. There'll be sensors everywhere. We won't need anybody watching the front. You walk out, everything that you carry out on your person, you pay for it because we have facial recognition technology that doesn't even worry if you're wearing a mask. It can see like just a little piece of your face and be like, that's Steve, that's Johannes, that's who that is. So the first thing they're doing, they're going to murder you with convenience, and then they're going to get you hooked, and then they're going to know everything about you, and then you're theirs. That's pretty much the way it is. They're very easily going to be able to be like, all right, guess what? We're the new government. We don't really have a need for this obsolete government. And you know what? We're even going to put forth a new system that we'll talk about here in just a second, where you guys can vote online, and we don't have any need for these stupid politicians. So while they're going to be able to improve things that way, the things you'll be allowed to vote on are going to be the menial things. They're going to take care of everything else on their own. They're going to be like, you know what? Let the public have this little thing. We'll take care of the rest of this stuff, and then they can steer society in a direction that best impacts their bottom line. So while it may be really convenient to have gigabit everywhere and have sensors everywhere and have just ease of life things everywhere and being able to walk up to a tree and be like, hey Google, why do trees have rings? Oh, it's because as they get older, like all those wonderful things come at a cost. Who's to say what will happen to the culture after that? And who's to say what will happen to the chilling effect? You guys know what the chilling effect is? The chilling effect is a thing that says, if you know you're always being listening, if you know you're always being listened to, you tend to talk about different things. It basically changes the way you interact with others. So if you know everything's always on, are you still going to have open conversations with people? That's not even that tinfoil hat, fellas. All right, moving right along. Another Google news here. Another Google news. I'm off today, but hey, I got my excuses, right? You got your excuses, I got mine. Google, they developed AutoML, which is like a program. It's an artificial intelligence, and it was just used to do some basic things like identify things in pictures, like, ooh, that's a ball, that's a cat, that's a dog, and it beat the human in those by just a little bit, 43% versus 39% when it comes to the recognition. But here's the thing. This program actually rewrote itself more efficiently than the humans could do. And they've got 1,300 people working on this. The program rewrote itself. So now it's a more efficient version 2. What's got me thinking is this is not the most sophisticated thing ever. Once they create the most sophisticated thing ever, what's going to stop that thing from being like, oh, I got a little bit of power, but if I rewrite myself, I'll have more power. Then it can rewrite itself all day. And it's like, oh, I went from version 2 to version 70 today, and I think we'll stop there. All right, so we were talking just a second ago about Google or somebody taking over the government and just allowing people to vote online. Well, there's actually a candidate in Colorado who's promising that if he wins, he's going to give his seat to an app, and that app will verify your identity through whatever state identification thing, maybe even face recognition, which would be kind of weird. But they're going to allow you to go on there and vote. So whenever an issue comes up, you go on the app, you look at it, and you're like, oh, do I want toilets to flush to the left or the right? And then you get to pick, and it'll go through. So I wonder how the lobbyists are going to handle that. And is this guy okay he's not going to make any money. So this would be the true pass-through democracy. We have any games to play right now?
Yeah, I got that. Was the Grimoire one?
Let's go take a look at Grimoire. Well, let's go take a look at a game. How about it?
This is the alpha of Grimoire Manastorm. Arena battler / wave survivor, depending on which mode you're playing in. There's a single player mode that's a wave survival, and then there's a bunch of different battle options that you can do against other players. So you have all these different types of wizards that you can play as. The nature wizard, and the nether wizard, and earth, and lightning, ice, all these cool things. Fire. I like the lightning guy myself, personally. Lightning. So eventually you can play the multiplayer things to get arcane points that you can use to buy new abilities. So right now this is just a wave shooter. Unfortunately, I haven't gotten to try any of the multiplayers yet because, like I said, it's still in pre-alpha. I tried jumping on at one of their scheduled times today, but nobody else was on except me, which means I won immediately. By that logic, right?
Yeah, you definitely won. So I'm really looking forward to. I like the old school vibe going on here. I'm really looking forward to the multiplayer, though. I guess wave shooter's fun enough, but
yeah,
you got another perspective, that guy.
Not the moment's on cooldown, but we're gonna do this.
Oh, you're sure?
Nope, I can teleport out of here. Now I'm dead. Yeah. So basically.
Yeah, it looks like it could be some fun once we get multiplayer.
Yep, and once you get a lot of other people in and stuff like that, and like I said, you do get to customize your characters and stuff like that. I enjoy games that involve you being wizards, so this automatically appeals.
Yeah, who would you recommend this for?
People that like arena shooters, stuff like that. Maybe someone that's looking for something with a little bit more nuance to it.
All right, so just a quick mention, Humble Bundle, I guess, still has some cool stuff that was maybe in the works before IGN procured it, and I don't know, who knows what they're going to do. I'm waiting for Humble Bundle to turn into the Humble loot box of the month thing. But right now, we still got some cool stuff, so I'm just going to recommend everyone goes over here just to get Crawl. This game's ridiculous. But there's other cool games here, too. $12, Armello.
I would argue that Armello is worth the $12. I really enjoy that game a lot.
They described it as Game of Thrones with animals, because it's that
Yeah.
gritty. EA closing down Visceral. So Visceral made the Dead Space games. They were working on a Star Wars game.
The Untitled Star Wars project.
Yeah, the Untitled Star Wars project.
So pretty much what this is another strike on EA's system that everybody is just super upset about. But what they're worried about is that this is kind of signaling the end of like a single player full storyline game.
Yeah, well, they said that Dead Space 2 wasn't successful, even though it sold 4 million copies. They didn't spend a lot of money making that game, so I'm not sure what the measure of success is, but there's an interesting little. Oh, this is the wrong article.
Yeah.
Where's that? Yeah, there you go. There's an interesting little blurb here that I'm gonna. But basically, they said they looked at the style of the Star Wars game, and they said it was looking like a single-player, linear, story-driven adventure. And they have decided that is not the direction they want games, and they've decided that players want games that they can continue to come back to and have new experiences over and over and over again. So either that means they want sandbox, or it sounds like they want something that's going to be multiplayer, and
That's just shooting each other.
and maybe we can get some loot crates in there,
Yep.
or something a little more grindy.
Weekly DLC to buy,
Yeah.
When you like listed off that style, like the single player linear storyline game, I was like, oh, I really enjoy playing games like that because I like storyline and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
like maybe I'm not going to revisit it a million times, but if I'm enjoying the story, then shouldn't that be worth it? I kind of feel like a lot of game companies are expecting these linear single player storyline games, like every single one that they release, they expect it to be the new Skyrim, and when it doesn't end up being that, then they're just like, well,
We could have sold fewer copies and made more money on season passes, DLCs, and loot crates if we'd done a multiplayer thing. And speaking of that, Activision has some pretty insidious nonsense going on.
yes, their new patented microtransaction system that they've done that goes with their pairing system. So basically what Activision has done is, they haven't implemented this yet, but basically what they're going to do is, say you're a really good player and you've spent a lot of time, effort, and energy, and probably money on a specific game. When you start doing randomized pairings, they're going to actually pair you with what they call a junior player instead of the marquee player. And the whole idea is that if you're a junior player, then you're going to see this marquee player with like this really boss sniper rifle and like this super cool ghillie suit or whatever.
Yeah, the hat. Oh, where do you get those boots?
Yeah. Whoa, look at those goggles. Oh, like they're going to be outfitted with stuff that you want to have. And the whole thing was to be like, well, you want to be like this guy? $4.99. That's all you got to do.
I can just see it right now. Like after the match, is like, you lost because you got your ass handed to you by the Reaper Cannon.
Like, spend $12.99 to get the Reaper Cannon now.
Yeah.
Like, and then like pwn your enemies. So, but basic. So they're not even going to be basing, matching players based off of any sort of real, like, oh, these two players are good and in the same tier. No, now you're going to be punished instead, and they're going to be like, well, we need you selling items to these junior players, so...
That's not going to be fun for the marquee players either,
Yeah.
because it's just going to be like shooting fish in a barrel. Like, okay, we got some junior players showing up. Or you know what? There could be that one guy who's like, I don't care, and I'm just going to be really good, and I'm going to murder all you marquee players. And that one guy will exist somewhere, just running around like wearing like underwear. Like, I guess when video games got bigger than the movie industry, this was bound to happen. And we got the big developers and that sort of thing. Guys, I'm going to encourage you here, since I've got this platform to do so. Support games that do not follow the same path as the big developers. Support the smaller games. Support the games that have a more niche experience. Support the games that don't rely upon microtransactions and all that nonsense. Support those games, vote with your dollars. But these games are still going to exist, because let's just face one thing. Most people are stupid. And stupid people, like the marketing people and the marketing people and the publishers, those guys are more in the stupid category than the actual developers. Well, they're going to be worrying about the stupid people. So stupid people make content for stupid people, and that's the masses, and we just have to live in this world. So you can find more niche stuff and more nuanced stuff if you look for stuff that is usually more indie, more fringe. And it's out there, guys. You just got to find it.
Our Visceral studio has been developing an action-adventure title set in the Star Wars universe. In its current form, it was, bold, shaping up to be a story-based linear adventure game. Throughout the development process, we have been testing the game concept with players, listening to their feedback about what and how they want to play, and closely tracking fundamental shifts in the marketplace. It has become clear to deliver an experience that players want to come back to and enjoy for a long time to come. We needed to pivot the design.
So yeah,
That sounds like translation. Well, this won't make us as much money.
we highlight and shine a light on all this nonsense. But I'm not surprised or outraged anymore, guys. Like, this is always like, outrage gets spread all over the internet faster than anything, but I'm not surprised or outraged. It's just like, oh, more shit. Oh, Activision's doing this now. Okay, I didn't think of that, but I guess of course that's what they're going to do. It's like obvious at this point. Like, of course they don't care about us. So
They're just sitting there twisting their handlebar mustaches. And...
this will make us $40.
yes.
All right. That's pretty much it, guys. Be sure to head over and get a shirt. Shirt.
Let's talk about it.
You got a good one on?
I got Nikola Tesla today.
Yep. So we got the shirt of the month coming back at the end of the month. So
Promise.
Well, first of the month, I guess. The design may or may not be ready. I may have to do another one because it's too complicated. But we'll have something there for you. I've got some other ideas.
Okay.
Also, get a mouse in the store right now. Just do it. And the mouse pads are even more premium than ever. That's the way it was. So we do all that stuff to make sure that you guys have cool stuff and pay the bills around here. So it's a win-win for everybody. Last thing, be sure to click on the damn bell.
Yeah.
You know, the subscription button doesn't do anything.
Updates don't matter anymore.
Subscription button doesn't do anything. I know a lot of you guys go straight to the subscription page. I cannot say the word subscription
feed.
Yeah, they go. A lot of people go straight to that, but yes, I understand. That's how you guys found us. But a lot of people who aren't seeing us, and maybe you stumbled onto this video elsewhere, I don't know. That's the problem, is getting people who don't see us in the regular feed to realize that, hey, you need to go to look at
The subscription. Also, if you stumbled across here, welcome to our dark corner of the internet.
Yes.
Sorry. Yeah.
All right, bye, everybody.
Bye.